What's up guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be training the glutes. I like to dedicate a whole session to this alone because it's really my focus to make them catch up to my hamstrings. So that needs its own day. But before we get started, I'd like you to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because I'm going to keep these rolling like I always say. Other than that, let's get into it. So one of the very first things that I like to do before I get into my full glute work is to pre-fatigue my hamstrings. I find that I can get a better glute activation when I do that, as well as my lower back doesn't switch on. It just helps all the blood flow a lot better. So I'm going to do that now on the hamstring curl machine. I don't do a lot of reps and don't go crazy because I don't want to wear myself out for the session, but just get enough to get a little burn on. So after warming up my hamstrings, I'm puffed. I'm going to head over to the hip thrust. You can do this on a machine if you don't want to set it up or there's no room to set it up. A lot of gyms do have the booty building machine or the hip thruster. There is one here, but if I have a choice, I'll always want to do it here. I can just feel it better. I don't have to strap myself in anywhere. It's just more comfortable for me. Now the necessities when it comes to doing the hip thrust for me is a hip thrust pad. Because the bar, because it's sitting on your hips, can really dig in and you don't want anything distracting you when you're trying to do a workout. So these are really cheap. You can get them off eBay, Amazon. They're next to nothing. They're not a lot of dollars. And then I also like to use a band around my knees when I am doing the hip thrust. This helps me activate my glutes. I can really feel them, which is the point of most of my workouts, feeling the muscle that you're trying to work, that muscle-mind connection. So you don't have to use this, but I just like to. And another reason I like to use the band is because I usually superset a hip abduction in between sets just to really get the glutes firing. So try that as a little tip, or ditch the band and do it your way. I'll be your light. I thought I'd give you guys a few tips that I've learned along the way. When I used to hip thrust, I used to go like this and throw my whole head back. My neck would hurt and I didn't really feel the activation in my glutes. I'd feel my lower back instead. So now these days, I focus on looking straight ahead and keeping my chin tucked and just thrust. I don't hyperextend. I just take it to an even level and squeeze at the top. You don't always have to come all the way down either, just enough to get a stretch and then come back up, because if you go too low then your back will fire up as well, and you really don't want to lose that connection when you're doing this movement. So I've actually also just released a nutrition guide really focused around gut health, reducing the inflammation in the body and the bloating. So if you're interested in that, I'll leave a link below as well for you to access that at your own time. So at the end of the movement on the hip thrust, I did a drop set. A bit like the biceps that I did with you guys the other day, just keep going until you run out of gas, I guess. Just another way to finish strong and overload and get those extra reps in. So we did that with a drop set today. I really felt it. I tell you, I really felt it. Thank you for assisting.
You're welcome. When it comes to overload, there's a couple of different ways. Like, many people think overload is about overloading in weight.
Weight, yeah.
But we're trying to get a result in regards to growth. And the way in which we're going to try and overload is to accumulate more volume. And the technique that we just did then, which I sprung on you at the last second, was a drop set. So we just took 3 consecutive drops, taking minimal rest. I stripped the plate, Steph went and kept going. you a 10, and I think a 12, something like that. So we got a rough total of 30-ish reps, all in all, using 3 different weights, going lighter each set. And there was a heap of blood flow going on after that. So the more you can accumulate blood flow, the more you can accumulate reps, volume, the more oxygen's going to pump in that muscle.
I couldn't breathe.
Fill it with good stuff and fill it with...
the good stuff, the minerals, the vitamins.
Leads to growth. That's right.
Yeah, so little tip, if you're training with a friend, surprise them with that at the end. They'll love you for it.
That body up, you think that I want you, but not babe. You're 1 in a million, but it's not for me. I'm not into girls with a plastic trace. Don't take it too personal.
I can't breathe already. So moving on to Bulgarian split lunge now. I absolutely hate this movement. It's really hard. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just complaining in this whole workout. What you can do if you haven't been doing this, if you haven't done this exercise before, what you can do as a beginner is hold on to something when you're doing it, like this for support, or like some kind of bar or pole, maybe a squat rack, set it up in there, whatever you want to do, so you can hold on to something. Or if not, just grab a bar or use dumbbells. I also find that if you are new to it, you can where's the chair? The bench. You can lean slightly forward, that's going to help you balance too. I like to stay more upright, but you've got to feel around and do what's best for you, and we all have different limb lengths and levers, so yeah, just feel around and see how you go. There's a bunch of us out in the world who's just like me, not into you. Same, you think you the deal, you know nothing, babe. I want something real, not the custom made. With this last set that I'm about to do, I'm going to do a drop set as well. Jamie's going to take the weight off my back, and I'm just going to keep going body weight. The same kind of principle that we did with the hip thrust. Thrust. Did I just say thrust? Oh my gosh. Somebody get me more caffeine. Hip thrust. Yeah, so we're going to do that again and just really load these legs. Like,
Keep going, you can do more than that. I was expecting you to get 20.
how many?
20. Halfway there. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Come on. 19. There you go. Good. Now we're talking.
Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance. Telling me to dance, taking a chance.
I keep losing my straw.
Tell people why you use a straw.
Because the Kardashians do. No, I'm kidding. Because sometimes I like to use a straw, not because I'm a princess, but because sometimes when I'm shaking, I dribble and it goes everywhere. But now I can't fish my straw out. Oh, there we go. I get so many questions on this. People are like, why do you lean so forward? It's actually because I'm short. If I go back here, I can hardly move this thing. I just feel like I'm using my quads and not my glutes. So the goal is, once again, don't use your feet to move this, use your knees, your legs. Is to go as heavy as possible while maintaining while maintaining 20 reps. Want to keep the volume high. The more blood you can pump into the muscle, the better growth you're going to have. So I'm finishing off my workout with another superset. I just love supersets. I'm obsessed. It gets your heart rate up, really feel the muscle burning. You also feel like a sense of accomplishment. I like to break these kind of workouts with my powerlifting stuff. It's always a little bit more fun sometimes to work in a different way. So I'm going to be doing the cable kickback, supersetted with the cable lunge. The lunge has a very small range of motion because I am closer to the ground because I am 5 foot. But I can still feel my glute working. You can feel free if you want to elevate your feet. This is going to give you a bit more height and you can go a little bit deeper as well. So if there's some spare plates around or pads you can put on the ground, that's another way to do it as well. Session done. I hope today's tips helped you in some way. I know that I got a really good burn on and I did pretty well for time too. It didn't last me too long. Sometimes my sessions go for 2 hours, sometimes they go for 40 minutes. This is a quicker one today, so if you are in a hurry during the week and you want to get a good glute burn, this is probably the one to do, so save it. I guess what some of my inspiration to give to you guys today is that make sure you're running your own race. I know it can be easy to compare yourself to others at times or go on social media and see other people doing things that you're not that you want to do, but just realize that you don't know the back end to everybody's story and don't be comparing yourself to others. Just run your own race and set your own goals because you will be somebody else's inspiration. I know for myself, I was a single mum of 2 little kids 10 years ago, and it was the hardest period of my life, but I set myself some goals that I still have to this day that I'm just slowly attaining each and every day. And I think that if you are passionate about something, you can do the same thing too and just eat away at it. Like 1%, like I told you last time, 1% every day, and you'll get there eventually. So don't give up, stay encouraged, run your race, and I'll catch you on the next video. Make sure you subscribe as well. I love you guys and I appreciate your support.